loud. Perfect. Okay, so everybody's opening up their siddur, and we're on the seventh bracha, the one that comes after Salach Lanu. And this is the bracha. It starts to talk about Geula. Okay, we're talking about redemption. And what's so incredible about this bracha is it hints to the national redemption, but it's really about your own personal redemption. And that's a very important part. Like, so when you see Baruch Atah Hashem, Goel Yisrael, underline it, because what you're talking about, Yisrael is an interesting word. Yisrael could mean the Jewish people nationally, right? It could mean like Shema Yisrael, like you're talking to the whole Jewish people, or it could mean the brothers actually were saying to Yisrael, Yaakov, like talking as an individual. So when we're talking about this here, we're talking about, I just want to add some other people in. Okay, let me just get these ladies in. Okay, great. Okay, so everyone who's here, please get a siddur, and we're doing the Amida, we're doing Shmona Esrei, we're doing the seventh bracha, which is Re'eh v'Inyonenu. Okay, so you should look into our affliction, and I want everyone to take a minute and underline in their siddur. At least I'm underlining because it will help me remember and give me the kavana of Baruch Atah Hashem Goel Yisroel. Okay, blessed are you, Hashem, Redeemer, as in right here and right now of Israel. Okay, so when we look at this seventh bracha, it's referring to a geula nationally, but really it's referring to your personal geula. Okay, because nationally you'll see it later where we'll say, blow the shofar and get us all to Israel, and build up Yerushalayim. Like that's all coming much later. So here when we're talking, like although we're talking in plural, it's the way we talk about anything about ourselves. We always want Hashem, like if I'm not feeling well, Rifa'enu, I want you to also cure everybody else. But when you're looking at this part of Shmona Esrei, like this is something you have to get through your head, because I'm telling you that most of the time, whenever I read this, I was always thinking just nationally. No, you're talking to Hashem here in a very personal way. Okay, so you're almost saying like, Hashem, how you personally redeem me, redeem everyone from their challenges. So what does that mean? Like, I open up because I want to hear you speak. What does it mean to redeem people from their challenges? Like, what am I asking when I say Hashem redeem me personally? What am I talking about? Anybody have any ideas?
Give them strength to deal with it.
Okay. Beautiful. Like it's like redeem me from give me the strength to go through my challenges. We're seeing people today who are, and I can't get over it. Like I opened up Matzav, and like Chalila Vachas, like a parent left their child in the car. Like it can happen. It can really happen. We almost had it in our own house. Okay, where one of the kids left the grandkids in the car. Like by accident, totally by accident. You're schlepping out, a bunch of people. You get into this room, and this kid Nebuch passed away. Now you need a lot of redemption from that story. How do you live with yourself? How are you going to go on? How is your family going to go on? Like this is Re'eh Hashem. Like look, oh my gosh, look at our afflictions, right? People today are having big tsuris. I mean, I'm sure they have big tsuris always, but like here you're calling out like Hashem. Your affliction doesn't only have to be outside. A lot of people are walking around smiling and waving and la la la, but inside there's a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. So we're asking Hashem, I mean, this is so beautiful. We're asking Hashem, like, take a look, be with us, redeem us. And it's very interesting because the Torah tells you redemption only comes, like, what's the sixth bracha? What did we do right before we did Re'eh? What did we do? Take a look at the bracha before. What?
We asked for forgiveness.
Yes, I love you. Okay, Liora, okay. We asked for forgiveness. In other words, it's very hard to get redeemed unless you know what you want from yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you have to look at yourself and say, what, I'm messing up. I want my authentic self. I don't want this depressed self. I don't want this self that just doesn't know what to do with itself. You know what I mean? I don't want this self that's only seeing the world in dark glasses. Like Hashem, I need your help for my personal redemption. I'm sorry that this is where I'm at. I'm sorry, it's not where I want to be, right? It's only after you're able to say what you really want, right? Like, what's the big reward you want? You know, the reward of a mitzvah is another mitzvah. That's what we want. We want a good life, a yashar life. We want a life that's straight with you, God. So first, that's what I mean for redemption. That's what I mean for redemption. Your mental and spiritual health is in some ways even more important than your physical health, because there are people who are physically healthy and mentally very unwell and spiritually very unwell, right? And they're in a lot of pain. So here you're asking Hashem, like, I need that help. I understand who I want to be, but all this stuff around me is stopping me from being the best me, right? I'm letting the wrong things get into my head. I need your help. And I think that that's like an incredible idea. So if you count, you will see that this is the 7th bracha, okay? So why is it the 7th bracha? Why isn't it the first? Why isn't it this? Why isn't that? So 7, does anybody know what the Hebrew word for 7 is? Yeah, like what's the Hebrew word for the number 7? That's what I'm trying to say. The Hebrew letter, not the Hebrew word.
Wow.
Zion.
Zion, excellent. Okay, Zion is the letter. Okay, now Zion is a very interesting word because they say in the 7th millennia, right, which is what we're coming to. We're ending the 6th, right? We're at 5,784. So, you know, like it's, when you're looking at the millennia, the next millennia that's coming up is the 7th, okay? Now, that's why this is the 7th bracha, because what we're looking for is redemption. Unfortunately, when it comes to national redemption, Zion is the word for, like, there's a concept called Kli Zion, Clay Zion. Clay Zion means weapons. So in the 7th millennia, there will be wars, which is what we're seeing, okay? Like, we haven't seen wars, you know, in Israel like this, I think, ever, to be honest. I think the only kind of war we ever saw in Israel, Baruch Hashem, was quick. I think 2 weeks was considered a long time. Do you know what I mean? I think when the Yom Kippur War went 2 weeks, we were freaking out. And now we're in a very different place, okay? So it seems so hard and so scary, but if you take a look, war and redemption are connected. If you ever say, like, Al Hanisim, you know, Hanukkah, we sing Al Hanisim and on Purim. So it's like Al Hanisim, V'al Hachuvos, V'al HaMilchamos, like we're actually saying, thank you, Hashem, right, for the wars. And Mirz Hashem, this war will destroy all our enemies, right? All the people who want to bring darkness and craziness and hate and disgusting things into this world, Shem Yisparach, in the 7th millennia, yes, there will be a war. It has to come to a head. It has to come to a consequence, right? And in Mirz Hashem, they will be obliterated. So that is another reason. It's just interesting for us to take note of that, right? It's just interesting to take note of it, okay? So it's Zion, the 7th millennia, Clay Zion, which is weapons. And weapons by Yidden, like the weapons of a Jew, is really not so much physical. What kind of weapon is it that we really have? Yes, okay, it's the hands of Esav, but it's the voice of Yaakov. So the voice of Yaakov is what you're doing right now. Sitting and learning Torah right now is helping, believe me, is putting in positive energy into the world. It's showing Hashem that all we want is to be connected to you and have a depth and an understanding for you. And what are you doing on top? You are learning Torah about prayer, okay? You're learning Torah about prayer, which is your strongest weapon, right? And prayer, when you have an understanding of what the words mean and what the Anshe Knesset HaGedola wanted you to have as kavana, as direction of these prayers, all the more so. Okay, so what you're doing right now is an extremely powerful thing to be doing in this millennia, because we are moving towards the end, and you want to have a transition that's comfortable, right? You want to have, like, when you're having your baby, you want to what do you have to do? Like, if you get an epidural, you're really good. Okay? Let's say you didn't get your epidural. Okay. What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to really stay focused, right? They keep telling you stay focused and breathe and know where you're heading and think about the geula. And do you see what I'm saying? And then you'll be able to get through it. Okay. So this to me is just such a beautiful idea. All right. So what are we talking about here? So we've talked about the little reference to the national geula, the fact that it's on the 7th bracha, but the real kavana here is your own personal redemption. So your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, whatever it is that is, that is, what's it called? That's restraining you. Like when you're in Mitzrayim, you just feel like you're covered in service, you're covered in trouble, and you can't seem to expand. So whatever it is that you have going, you're worried about your career, you're worried about your finances, you're worried about your health, you're worried about your kids. All of these things, like, they suffocate us. True or false? True, 100%. So you need redemption. So how are you going to get redemption? You're going to say, how I'm going to get redemption? Only with you, Hashem. You are the one who can fuel me to be able to calm down. You're the one who can give me menuchas hanefesh, right? You can give me peace of mind. That's all. I'm begging you for peace of mind. Help me go to sleep. Help me this. Help me that. Right? Right? And when you surrender to that, then you have real bitachon. Then you're doing the mitzvah of all mitzvahs. Do you see what I'm saying? And you're like allowing this redemption to come in. So I just want to read a quote from Mark Twain. I know it's not Rashi, but okay, I love this quote and it's worth memorizing. And I'm going to say it and then you're going to explain it to me. So Mark Twain said, "My life is filled with many tragedies that never happened." Okay, what is he talking about? My life is filled with many tragedies that never happened. What's he talking about?
Is he talking about awfulizing?
Yes, awfulizing. Exactly right. He's talking about
was very good at that.
In your life. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. And Baruch Hashem, nothing ever happened. You know that we worry.
I'm so excellent at it. Now I'm not excellent at it. Baruch Hashem.
Okay. But I love that idea. So there's so much like fears and this and angst that you lived through that never even happened. Okay. So here's what we're saying, like, Hashem, redeem me from, there's a lot in our heads. It's not true. I'm not significant. I'm a loser. I did this. I'm not that. La, la, la. What's going to be? La, la, la. All these kind of things that float around in our heads. Right. So Mark Twain saying, like, half of us have already like chalish 10 times over things that never really even happened. All right. So much emotional angst that was wasted. So here's what that perfect idea, like, Hashem, like, redeem us from all this. Redeem me from my spinning head. All right. Okay. And especially I feel it's women. I really feel women, like I speak to a lot of people and I see so many women are like forever judging themselves very unfavorably. You would be so much nicer when it comes to judging someone else. Oh, I give them this reason and that reason and they're this and they're that. But for yourself, you missed your deadline. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I always miss the deadline. Oh, I'm so crazy. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't remember anything. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And we get all into this. We are lent our husbands and lent our children and lent our circumstances, and we're not in control of them. And it's very hard for us. Like sometimes, like, I don't know, my son didn't come out the way I really wanted, and this one isn't really like this, and what are we going to do about this one's service and that one's service? Guess what? There's 3 partners, right? You, your husband, and Hashem. You gave yourself you did your best, but you can only do what's humanly possible. Hashem, Baruch Hashem, can do so much more. So that's the point. So sometimes that's what you're asking, like, Hashem, redeem me from all this. Like I'm taking on what isn't even mine. And that's what I feel why women put themselves last on the list. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know so many women and then they're like emotionally down and then they end up eating too much or this too much. Or do you know what I'm trying to say? So here, that's what we're saying, that we're asking Hashem, like, help me from all of these internal traumas or unhappiness, or you can fill in the blank of what you need redemption from. Worry. Okay. Like, you're actually telling, like, down deep, I'm aching, I need help, like I can't fix these relationships, like, redeem me. So at the end, the greatest redemption from all this stuff is realizing, like what we said in the Pirkei Avos, you end up being the master of your destiny. In that, it's the way you respond. At the end, the only person who can master you is you. Okay. And you trying to master other people, give it up now. Okay. Yeah, I'm telling you now, because it's just going to bring you heartache. And the more that you will master yourself, the more you will role model to other people and they'll pick up on it. Right. But you trying to go to everybody around you, it's a losing battle. Right. Anybody?
So is it about helping others, even if they seem to need your help? It's still, you still need to just give yourself the time and the permission that I can only change myself and be a good example.
Right.
And that's what you're saying? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's not right. Instead of trying to force like your feelings and this, and how come you can't do this? And like, he was saying, it's very interesting. I saw this. I hope I'm not, seeing something I didn't see, but I'm sure I did see it. It was Y.Y. Jacobson. Everybody know who's Rabbi Y.Y. And he's like so famous. He's incredible. And he put a lot out on mental health. He kept talking about mental health and mental health and mental health. And somebody sent me something with him on it, and he said, "No more stigma. I have anxiety." That's incredible. And for him to say that, I think it's allowing all of us to go, me too. Like people are feeling much, wow, you mean Rabbi why have anxiety? Right now, I'm going to tell you, I think part of the transition of what's happening in the world is giving all of us anxiety. There's something to talk about. Like someone just sent me a post, that Hamas just put out a whole video in Arabic asking all of their followers around the world to attack Chabad houses, because they have this whole video. You can watch it. Like you see the Arab writing. They didn't translate it. They did a whole thing showing like how all the Chabadniks, there's a Chabad house in Gaza, so now they're calling for that. Now you read that, you can tell me you're not going to get anxiety. I'm certainly getting anxiety. I don't daven in a Chabad shul, but I have Rahmanis. I don't want anyone hurt. I don't want anyone, you know what I'm saying? Or what about if I walk past so yes, this is anxiety provoking. So what do we have to say? Oh, Hashem, you better redeem us. You look at our look at our affliction, at the riva ruvenu, and take up our grievances. Like Hashem, we're not going to make it. We can't do this. There's no way. We can't protect ourselves. There's like a zillion Arabs all over the world. True or false? 100%. Let's be real. And if Israel Chalila B'chas is attacked on all four fronts, yeah, we don't have to worry, because that happened when Israel, the state, was founded and we were all fine. Okay, so I'm not worried. But if you keep yourself in a natural probability, a world of natural statistics, you're finished. Jews are not part of that probability and natural statistics. And when things don't work out, a Jew understands that it comes from Hashem and goes so far above. I have to say this because it's a Kiddush Hashem. So Judy Cohen asked me, they did the shloshim for her grandson. Her grandson died right before he turned 8 years old from leukemia. And nobody thought when he got that diagnosis that he would die. I'm being honest. We were saying Tehillim day and night, day and night, day and night. And you're just thinking Hashem wouldn't do that. Like, he's not going to take this little kid. Okay, so Hashem did take this little kid, and I was watching the video, and her son Sam stood up, that's the father, to talk about everything. Did you imagine? And he said, I looked into the Parsha, last week's Parsha was Chukas. I looked into the Parsha of Chukas to find inspiration. Like what happened? Like what happened? So he said, you know what I realized? It's a chok. Whatever happened to my little son? He was a great boy, even in his short life, which is true. He caused so much goodness to happen in the world. He really did, because people were saying Tehillim all over the world and doing acts of kindness for him and this and that. The whole world was changing from an 8-year-old little boy. So he said, you know what? I love my 8-year-old son. I will never forget him and never forget all the kindness that he brought into the world and all the goodness. And even at a young age, he was very spiritual kid. Like, it was very funny. They were telling this story, like every time they would leave shul, he wasn't 2 years old. He would make the father go back up to the bima to look at the Torah again. like to just look at the Aron. Like he said it wasn't just once or twice. It was like almost every Shabbos, almost every other Shabbos. This kid would keep taking his father. Everyone would leave the shul, and then he'd ask his father to take him up to see the Torah. Like, I don't know if they opened it, but just to see the Aron, right? Well, he said, what's a chok? He said, Hashem says, take this para aduma, take this red cow that never had a yoke, never did anything in its life, right? And bring it as a korban. Right. And then the Kohen becomes tameh, like things go upside down with this korban. Like it doesn't seem to make any sense. So he said, that was my little boy. He was taken, right? He had never had a yoke. Why Hashem took him? I have absolutely no idea. But I know that Hashem is greater than me. And I know that Hashem is smarter than me. And somehow this makes sense in some bigger picture. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah, that's the Jewish people. Right? Only you connect yourself to Hashem, and then you're in a different plane. Then you can redeem the situation. He can redeem his pain. He's still going to hurt. Like he said, I'll never forget him. I'll take him with me, and I don't want to forget him. They're going to do good things in his memory. It's not that we want to forget him. We don't. But I'm just saying, there is a redemption when you finally say to yourself, listen, I got a choice here. Either I go, God is horrible, I hate his guts, and off I go. I'm not interested in this. I prayed, and you said no. So what do I need you for? Right? There are people who do that. Like, let's be real. And they just like, out they go. But he's not like that. He's saying, my authentic self wants to love you, Hashem. My authentic self knows you do things for a reason. My authentic self knows I'm a puny little dot, and I don't understand. But I know I will, because that's what you promised me. I'm gonna hold you. There were people, I remember somebody was telling a story once of this, it's Bleeman, it's Mr. Bleeman. Okay, so Mr. Bleeman ended up being, very, very wealthy, ended up a Holocaust survivor, developed most of Toronto. Okay, so when he came out of the Holocaust, he was like a thin nothing. He was a Muslim, he was like, didn't have any meat on his bones. Okay, he's probably 80 pounds and is very tall. So what was going on? So there were people who were like, I hate God, I'm throwing this all away. And he said, I'm not throwing anything away. I want to hold Hashem accountable. I'm going to stay good. And I know one day I'm supposed to see the light. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold him accountable. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like he promised, I'm going to hold him to it. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to hold him to it. It's a very interesting way of looking at it. Okay? Okay. So when we ask Hashem, like, look at our tsuris, we're talking about, or look at our afflictions. We're talking at all kinds. Like, let's, like sometimes very frustrating. It's Shabbos and your air conditioner blows out. You're boiling, you're hot. It's not so simple, okay? Getting grumpy, right? So you're asking Hashem, redeem me from my affliction, okay? Get my air conditioning fixed or get my attitude better, okay? Until I can fix it. And then we're talking about real redemptions, like what we were talking about, this incredible family. Okay? And please, Hashem, I need a real redemption. This was traumatic, right? So it's just like interesting for us to see. So what's going on here? What are we saying? We're saying that we believe Hashem is in every part of our life. Nothing is an accident, and everything that we have, we need God's blessing, so to speak. So therefore, even before you take a pill, if your pill is for anxiety or if your pill is for strep, okay, physical or emotional, right? And some people even will do it when they take vitamins, okay? If you're going to take these pills, what do you say? There's a special Yehi Ratzon that you say. Did you know this? Do people know this? It's beautiful. And I say it all the time. Okay, so really, I could say it right now, but do me a favor, go online and get it. And it's a wonderful way. It makes you feel so much better when you say this before you take it. So what it is, it's Yehi Ratzon milfanecha, Hashem Elokeinu, Sheyeh Asik Zeh Li L'Refua. Okay, which means, it should be your will before you, Hashem Elokeinu, that this thing that I'm taking, this asek, this help that I'm taking, it should be for a refuah. Why? Ki rofech chinim ata, because you are, which is the nicest thing to say, you're the doctor for free. You know how many people like have big problems, right? And they need to get to a specialist and they can't get to the specialist on time. And then they have to pay, like I know someone who had to pay close to $100,000 for surgery in the United States, right? Because they were not getting treated here quick enough and they wouldn't have lived. And Baruch Hashem, they're alive today. But this is what we're saying. You're saying to Hashem, no, you're going to do this. You're rofech chinam. You're doing it. Chinam is out of the goodness of your heart, out of your graciousness. That's why you do it. And then after you take it, you say, Baruch, yes, perfect. This is what we had. We made this. It was really Steve Scutaro who made this in his wife. You know, if you could take a picture and send it to me, I'm going to put it on my WhatsApp group and then you guys will have it. And it's beautiful because we can do it still in Merit of Jody. So that'll be a very nice thing. Okay? Okay. Okay, now, so we said this, okay. Yeah, it's interesting. So when you do this whole tshuva idea, like the idea of salach lanu, right, before you're asking for the redemption, right, because you want to lead a redeemable life, you know what I mean? So it's a very nice idea, like you put your kishkas in it. So a lot of people who are like balei tshuva or geir, either one of those, right? The Torah tells you don't go around telling people, you know, so-and-so, you know, they used to be a geir, they used to be a bal tshuva. It's really considered lashon hara. Do you know that? Unless the person tells you, no, tell over my story to inspire others. But generally speaking, you're not supposed to. You know why? Because they are living a completely different life. They did tshuva. Hashem, it's like he redeems them. He takes them out of who they once were and puts them into a new reality, and that's who they are. You know, they're not the person who ate treif and didn't keep kosher and you know, drove their car on Shabbos. They're not that person anymore, right? They did tshuva, and Hashem redeems them, and they're living in a whole different reality. So it's not our place to go around and say, oh yeah, you think they're so great, you should know who they used to be. You know what I mean? Like that's not, you know, our place. All right. So I think that's a beautiful idea. Like you do the tshuva and you're totally reconstructed. It's amazing. Okay. Okay. What also is very beautiful about this bracha is it's telling the truth. I think that's a beautiful idea. It's telling you the truth. We have tsuris, right? And we're asking Hashem, like, take them up, like, help us. Like, we can't pass these incredible challenges without your help. There's no way. You know what I mean? And I think that's a beautiful thing to admit. And I think it's important for people to know that life can be challenging. And I think sometimes, like today, we're like raising a generation of kids that everybody's like swooping in every second. And these kids are like, they have more anxiety than us. Do you know what I mean? Like they're anxiety ridden because they're never really challenged. You know what I'm saying? If everyone's going to help them in every little way and write their paper and do this and do that and blah, 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 and give them lunch when they forgot it and, you know, take care of them every single second and drive them and this, them and that, them, then they've never really have a chance to flex their muscle. You'd be very surprised, but like kids need to be challenged. They do. They really do. And you can see it with our own selves. Like Hashem says challenge is part of the picture because challenge is what develops you. Challenge is where you see your growth. Okay? Now let's look at this word. It's a very funny word. Like if you look at the wording, it's kind of an interesting idea. You're saying re'eh, which really means see. Okay? Say, see our afflictions, like see our pain, Hashem. Now, is that kind of funny? Why is it funny for us to say to Hashem, see our pain? Why is that a funny thing to say?
Because Hashem knows already.
Aha, 100%. Hashem sees everything. I have to invite him in to see. Okay, like not only does he know your pain, he gave you your pain, right? Or he allowed you to make some stupid mistakes and give yourself your own pain. So what does it mean when we say see? So just like there's 48 ways to wisdom. Everybody knows that there's a Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Father. It talks about, this is Rav Noach of blessed memory. This is his star class that really helped to change the lives of thousands of people, okay? So the 48 ways to wisdom say there's 48 character traits and 48 things that help you become a wise person. So one of them is to listen. Remember, like when we say the word Shema, we say it means 3 things. Who remembers any of them? Yeah.
I loved it so much. I was sharing it with other friends. I was saying, I was blessing you. Thank you.
Thank you. But you see, it's a very good idea. Like I learned it from Rabbi Lam, and he based it on like the Vilna Gaon's understanding of Shema. So shh means listen. You have to hear the words. If you're busy talking and thinking about I'm the next one and I have to tell you my story, you're never going to get anywhere. Okay, so shh. And then you want to validate. You want to have the person feel like you're understanding what they're saying. So it's right? Like you feel for the person. And then you need to take some action, or you need to summarize, you need to put the idea together. It's, I got an idea. Like, you're down, right? Oh, I see it hurts. You can't find a cleaning lady. That's not funny. That's really like, it's not funny. If you have 7 kids, it's not funny. Okay. All right. You can't find a cleaning lady. That's really stressful. You know what? I think I might be able to help. Here's a number of somebody. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But just like there is a way to listen, it's very interesting. There is a way to see. So sometimes you see, like, this is the joke of Facebook, right? People are just looking at these like silly pictures that people post, right? Like everything, and it looks so. But really, I always tell people, if you could only have those little bubbles over their head, where the sun's going, this vacation is really stupid, and I really didn't want to be in this picture, right? But you're looking at it on this nice little surface level, and you're going, oh, I wish I had that too. But you don't know what the cost is to all that vacation, and you don't know what people are really thinking on that vacation. And it could be they're having a good time. Good for them. So you have to look at it a little deeper. I don't want, like the Torah tells you, whenever you have an ayin ra, like if you want what someone else has, Torah tells you, you have to want everything they have. Their tsuris, their headaches, it's not just I want just the car. I want everything. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So we're asking Hashem, the same way you need to listen, right? You see, then you have to understand what you're seeing, right? A lot of times, like they were just saying this about President Biden. He can't read the crowd. That's very bad. When you're a speaker, you have to read the crowd. Like if I'm speaking and I see like people are like, oh, then I know, okay, better hurry up with this story. Time to turn the page. Like 50% of the people are sleeping, I'm in trouble, or like sometimes it's hard. It's like some people's faces when you're speaking, like I do this on purpose because I'm a speaker. So I'm just going to give you a heads up if you want to know what chesed is, to do what Amita's doing and what Brenda's doing and what Tanya's doing and everyone else is doing, is like to nod and give me a feeling like I'm saying something and you can actually hear it. Like sometimes you can have these people are like this the whole time and you're thinking, oh my God, Tanya just did it. And you're thinking, what's going on? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You need to read people's body language. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what Hashem, like, come into our suffering. Like, see what it really is feeling like. Nebuch, all these, like, there's like many widows now in Eretz Yisrael. Widows, like, or mothers who've lost their children, could lose even more than one son in this war. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Hashem, go in, like, see it and really understand it, and please, Hashem, do something about it. And that's what you want. So here, look at this. It's incredible stuff. I would circle this letter, okay? See where it says Re'eh, and then it says Ve'onyenu, okay? So circle the V, like means in. Like, see in our struggles, not just see our struggles, see in our struggles. And I hate to tell you that, but that's chesed that we have to do too. We hear about people, like, even when people are telling you stories, like, blah, 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 blah. You need to listen and then say, you know what? Hashem, may he help you. You know what I mean? Like, not just, and then like certain people, like certain stories, like these people are going to need money. Like we have to look at people and say, this person's going to need some money. Maybe I should give them some money. Maybe I should bring a cake. Maybe I should maybe I should call them and ask them, I'd like to take your kids for the afternoon so you can recuperate. You know what I'm trying to say? That's an important part of what seeing is. Like we're asking Hashem, like, see inside of me. I'm sorry about the phone. I can't do anything about it. Okay, it stopped. No, it didn't. Okay. All right. But anyway, okay. But you see what I'm trying to say? Bi'inyanenu means in our kishkas, like, which is really to be extremely empathetic to someone, like to say, wow, that must hurt. Don't always say, oh, I understand because I had the same thing. Sometimes just say, that must hurt. That's not easy. Do you know what I mean? And let me think about something I could do for you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want from Hashem. And it's interesting, like it says it in when the Jewish people were also in Mitzrayim. It said that Hashem was with them in their tsuris. He became with them in their tsuris. And that's what we have to understand, that it's not just on a surface level, like, oh, that's, people tell you a big tragic story and you go, oh, well, anyway, let's get on with the next topic. Excuse me, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be in with them. Okay, so let me just see what else I want to tell you. You have to pay attention. Yes, it's because more than anyone, we talk to Hashem about this, more than anyone. When we say be with us, it's because he is with us. He knows us better than anybody else. Like, let's be real. Like, you're calling out to Hashem and saying, look, Hashem, no one else can help me because I can't express all my feelings to everybody. There's certain things that are so private, they're only mine, but they're also yours. Because there's an expression that Hashem searches the heart and the kidneys of every person. Like, in other words, he's in your kishkas. He knows what you're really thinking and all your, thoughts. So that's a beautiful idea. Like, Re'ev en yonenu, please Hashem. Like, no one else can understand me the way you can, right? You're my creator. You're my father. You're my this. You know it all. So who else could help me? You know what I mean? Like, even when you express it, there's sometimes stuff that's so much deeper, and it's so hard for us to really express everything. Right? Because a lot of us are like, we don't want everyone in the world to know everything that's ticking inside, right? So it's very beautiful that you have Hashem, right? And he really gets it. So you could say here, like, Hashem, I need you, be with me in my pain, like, help me out here. Lean in, Hashem. That's what you're asking. Like when they say lean into it, like, lean in, Hashem, lean into me, right? And help me. It's such a nice idea. Okay, so Re'eh also means you want to see the person. Like, when they, people have that expression, I can really see you. I see what you're all about, right? I see you. So sometimes that's what you want. Like Hashem, you want Hashem to see you and you to see him. That's the point. What is this about? It's about a relationship. Right? That's what they say. Like, it's very nice. Our eyes, even though mine need makeup, but our eyes are considered the windows to your soul. And now you understand, like, it's so funny when a baby, right? Like Brenda, when a baby is born, like the first sign of anything wrong, chas v'shalom, is if they can't give eye contact. The idea is that I want to see your soul and you want to see my soul. I want to see you. The first concept of a relationship, like the baby first looks at you and goes, you're like, oh, you feel this incredible love. All right, so that's what we're saying. Like, Hashem, see me, see my pain, bring me close to you, let me be close. You bring me close to you and let you become close to me. That's what we're asking when we're asking this Re'eh. And I think that's so beautiful. So that's what Rashi tells us. And then there's two ways that Hashem interfaces in the world. And right now, it is the most confusing place I've ever been in, because there's a way that Hashem relates, which is called Hester Panim. What's Hester Panim? Anybody know? Unmute if you know it. Hester Panim, come on. Nope, okay. Hester Panim means when he hides his face. Hester means to hide, Panim is your face. But there's another way that Hashem interfaces with the world, right? And that's when you see things very open, very exposed, okay? So that's hara'as panim, like you really see Hashem's face. So you are in history, I feel like we're going like this, okay? Up and down. When Iran attacked Israel and no one got hurt and nothing went wrong, that is complete miracle. That is a very obvious, right? You really saw Hashem's face, right? When Trump right now survived that shooting, that was a miracle. And I can't help it. I am very into politics, okay? I feel bad, true confessions, but I happen to love politics. And so when I was watching the convention of the Republican Party, and it was the Kiddush Hashem. There wasn't a person there who did not thank God. That's all they kept saying, that this was a miracle and we have to thank God. And that Trump wrote, it was a miracle and I owe God and I thank God and I this God. And it's very interesting because we say that bracha, the Kohanim bless us. Does anyone know what the bracha is? Like Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, right? They were saying it over and over and over in English at this convention. Like we need to bless everyone and peace should come to the world. And, it was just, I was just like so shocked, but I was so proud of them. Like I told my husband, if Trump doesn't recognize that this is a miracle from God, there's no way he can win. There's no way, because then he's just an arrogant fool. But the fact that he was able to say, no, I humble myself and I realize that my brains could have been blown to bits. I'm not kidding. Like, it's not a joke. What that would have been the most horrific scene, right? So thank you, Hashem. So for some reason, like Hashem is showing you like this incredible, like miracles, but it's being mixed up with Hester Punim. Do you know what I mean? So I'm beginning to feel.
Is that where Esther comes from?
Yes.
Okay, it's making sense now.
Yes, yeah, it's making sense. So I'm just saying, like, you see, it's an incredible time that we live in, and I think the Hester Punim isn't really hidden. It's we have to find it. That's all. Like now when I'll go back to that story with Judy Cohen's grandson. I'll go back to that story. First you think it's all Hester Punim, but then the father and the parents and the grandparents made it revelation of Hashem. Do you know what I mean? They took it and made it a Kiddush Hashem. They said, we don't understand it. It's part of history. It's part of glory. It's part of something bigger than us. But we know it's all good in the end. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So although that looked like it was a Hester Punim, at the end Hashem's face was revealed. It's like a very, do you know what I'm trying to say? Easy for me to say, you know what I mean? I don't minimize their pain, but I maximize the Kiddush Hashem that they made, and I maximize the inspiration that they are for all of us. But I'm just trying to say, so although things are like they're hidden, but they're not. And that's what's going on. And each and every one of us are really obligated in our own lives to find Hashem in your life, your own personal, HP story, right? That's what they used to, the Hashgacha Pratis story, your own Hashgacha Pratis. Like, it will be the best thing you ever do for yourselves. I just had the smallest one. I couldn't find this wallet and it had the key to these cupboards and I was going crazy, okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even open the cupboards for whatever I have to do. This is crazy. And so I said, okay, Rav Meir Baal HaNes. Okay, so I ran up the stairs. I put my tzedakah in to Rav Meir Baal HaNes. I said my prayer. And as I'm putting it in, my grandson runs up. So I'm like, literally, as I'm putting it in, I'm making the prayer. So it was really, really amazing. And I'm just going to end with the most, like a really beautiful story, like this to show you how much Hashem can be in someone's life. Anybody know who Rabbi Grossman is? He's like the disco rabbi, very famous, extremely famous in Eretz Yisrael. One of these people whose heart is humongous, okay? And his Rebbe sent him to a really poor district in Eretz Yisrael. I can't remember exactly the name of it. And told him that he has to makarev, he has to build a shul and have these people come to his shul. And he's like, what? He goes out. He thinks, okay, there must be one shul in the place. There's no shul. No one is religious. There's a lot of terrible poverty, a lot of kids on the street. And you know what I mean? Like bad news. He ends up going into discos. He would go in, that's why they call him the disco rabbi. He'd go into discos and he would sit down with people. He'd say, oh, I'm going to buy you a drink. Let's sit down and I'm going to talk Torah. Okay, slowly but surely he started. It's not normal. You have to get the book. It's an incredible book. Okay, he started carving all these people, changing the whole face of the city. And then he started building, which was beautiful, like homes for people, like for kids whose parents, like, kids who were on the street, okay, who, didn't have any, whatever, who had hard circumstances. And he built a home for boys. He built a home for girls. So he's telling the story, how he was able to he had to collect all this money by himself. His Rebbe didn't give him money. He did this all on his own. So he was very famous in Israel, and he's already won many awards, like for his kindness and his consideration for Klal Yisrael in Israel, okay? So a lot of people tell him, like, he travels a lot between America and Israel to collect funds. So people always talk to him, like, they say to him, why don't you go first class? Like, you're an older person already. This is so hard because I'm not going first class. If I go first class, everyone's going to say, what? This rabbi takes money for himself. I don't take money for myself. I'm not going first class. Okay, fine. So one time he's going to the airport. He comes to the El Al airport, and the lady behind the desk recognizes him. And she goes, Rabbi Grossman, I want you to know, from all the times you're flying back and forth, you have enough points to sit in first class. And I know who you are. You deserve to sit in first class. I'm not going to let you sit anywhere else. You know how a Jewish mother who's at the airport. You're not letting you go anywhere else. Okay, fine. He said, all right, fine. So he goes into first class, and there's usually 6 seats in first class. So he had one, and then these 2 very heavy Americans, like he could see, like from Texas, 2 big guys, one big guy and his wife, who's also a little bit bigger. Okay, and they're sitting into the seat, and they're barely fitting in the seat, but they got it. Okay, and he's sitting right behind them, and he starts thinking, what do I have to lose? And he says, you know what, I have this DVD. He has like I guess a little whatever with a DVD player. Is this like portable DVD player, and he has a DVD of his work, like these different homes that he opened to help, right? And he had already put down like money for a building for the girls' home. He had no money to pay for it. He just said, Hashem, this is your problem, not mine. I do what I have to do. This is your problem. So he goes over to these 2 Americans, okay? And he says, hi, my name is Rabbi Grossman. I'm from Israel. I do a lot of good charity work. I just want to show you what I do. You don't mind, do you? He stacks it right on top of, like they have those, the tray. He puts it right on top of the tray. And they have earphones. They only had 1 set. So one goes for the husband, one goes for the wife, okay? And he says, I'm going to just let you enjoy this video, and I'll be right here behind you, okay? So they're watching the video now. It's like 10 minutes. Video's over. So he comes around and he goes, I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to take the video from you. And he like leaned over. When he leaned over, he pressed by accident a button that changes the seat from upright to a bed. Okay, so now this big giant American fellow, right, from Texas goes backwards. And now the rabbi doesn't know what to do with himself. He doesn't know where to put himself. He's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, so sorry. And then he presses the button, and he takes the guy, comes back up, and he helps him back up. He gives him his big kiss on his forehead. He goes, I'm so sorry. The American guy, like, it's just staring at the rabbi. I can't believe what just happened. Like, you showed me this crazy video, then you tripped me, then you kissed me. I'm like, what? Who are you? So he gets himself comfortable. Okay. And then he says to him, he goes, I'm going to tell you a story. Like, Texas voice. I'm going to tell you a story. You don't believe me, but I'm an evangelist. A tele-evangelist. That means he's an evangelist priest on television, okay? I've been to Israel 3 times. I know Bibi. I'm good friends with the education minister. I know them all. And I want to tell you something. And my wife, she's going to testify that I'm telling you the truth. I went to Israel, and they took me all over, and I didn't find one place that I wanted to give all my charity money from my congregation to. And then I said to my wife, while we were sitting on the plane, I said, if God sends me someone who takes care of the kids in Israel and kisses me on the forehead, I'm going to give him all the money. The true story. He gave him all the money to build this, like to pay for the building and to renovate the entire building. That's only Hashem. There is no, that story is just God, 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 God. You know what I mean? And that's
I get goosebumps.
That's the most incredible story. I love that story. So that's what I'm trying. You see what I'm trying to tell you? So that's what's going to get us through. We have to move now. Like, we're, giving birth to the baby soon. Okay, we're transitioning. Okay, and transition is probably the hardest part in labor. Like, that's when everybody starts screaming, "Take me home! I didn't mean this, and I'm not doing this again." Okay, all right. I'll tell you a cute story. Just quickly, I'll tell you a funny story. So when my daughter was going to have a baby, so Cyril. So I kept telling, like, she doesn't do well with pain. So I said, Cyril, you're not going to do well with pain. You get to the hospital, they're going to say, what's your name? You're going to say, my name is Cyril, and I want an epidural. Okay. That's exactly what she did, which was amazing. So one of my friends was telling me their daughter's expecting, and their daughter's not good with pain. So I said, you know what? I'll tell you the story. And I told her the story. So she told that story to her daughter. When her daughter got to the hospital, she said, my name is Cyril and I want an epidural. Anyway, by mistake. But it's just good for us to know, like, just good for us to remember, okay? We're going to need some kind of an epidural, so to speak, and that's going to be bitachon in Hashem. And that's going to be calling out to Hashem and saying, you know what? It's hard for me. Not everything's going the way I want. My mind isn't settled. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling nervous. Re'eh, see Hashem.
You are our epidural.
Okay. See our kishkas, see our
Totally
heart, see
Christian.
my mind, see my this, and be with me in my tzuris, redeem me, fight my battles. Like, it's so beautiful. Okay, so we'll finish with the rest of it next week, and I'm going to mark how far I got up, but I'm just can't tell you how happy I am to find this blessing. And I always thought of it totally on a national level. I never realized that it is my own personal journey and my own personal pain among everyone else's. But I'm talking to Hashem from my heart and my place. And I think that's a very beautiful way to be looking at it. Okay. I just want to mark this. Okay. So we're going to do the Tehillim. And now, since we've really progressed, all of us really can, read it, which is amazing. So we're going to do 121. And I don't have Sandy here, which I'm very sad about, but this Tehillim we're going to do in merit of people who need shidduchim and in merit of peace in Eretz Yisrael and the hostages to come home. Please, Hashem, please look at their pain and please, Hashem, help us. And with the chayalim and everything else, and there should be shalom in this world. Okay, so yeah, thank you. So we're going to do Kuf Chaf Aleph. Thank you so much for everybody who came. Really, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate to see you here, and it really makes a big difference.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so we're on Kuf Chaf Aleph.
You want to stop the recording?
Did I? Yes, I want to stop. Thank you so much. I wish I